In November of 2025, the NBA didn't just have a scandal, it had a total system failure that threatened to undo 30 years of economic progress. While the headlines were screaming about a massive federal gambling sweep involving Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups, a far more sophisticated financial heist was being uncovered in Los Angeles. This wasn't about point shaving or rigged poker games. This was about a superstar who figured out how to get paid $50 million to essentially do nothing, and an owner who was willing to break the league's financial spine to make it happen. Today, we are following the money into the deepest pockets of the Los Angeles Clippers to answer the question the NBA has been dreading. Did Steve Ballmer and Kawhi Leonard execute the largest salary cap circumvention in the history of professional sports? We're breaking down the secret deal with a zombie tech company called Aspiration, a banking firm that was actually a house of cards. The allegation is simple. Steve Ballmer allegedly funneled roughly $50 million into Aspiration through personal LLCs, which then turned around and paid Kawhi Leonard for a no-show role as a brand ambassador. This wasn't a sponsorship, it was a salary dump disguised as a startup investment. The timeline of these payments is where the coincidence ends and the conspiracy begins. According to investigative reports, documents emerged showing that Kawhi's company, KL2 Aspire LLC, was set to receive $28 million in cash over 4 years, provided he remained a Clipper. But the rabbit hole goes deeper. When Aspiration ran late on a $1.75 million payment to Kawhi, Clippers vice chairman Dennis Wong coincidentally invested nearly $2 million into the company just 9 days earlier. It was a pay-to-play pipeline that operated in the shadows for years. While the NBA was busy policing jersey tucks and flopping, the Clippers were allegedly running a parallel payroll that dwarfed the actual salary cap. In the industry, this is known as ghost capital, money that exists to influence the game but never touches the league's official accounting. Former Aspiration employees reportedly stated that they were explicitly told not to ask questions about the Kawhi deal because its sole purpose was to circumvent the NBA's cap rules. This brings us to the load management smokescreen. For years, fans and analysts have criticized Kawhi for missing games, citing his mysterious knee issues and chronic injury status. But as we sit here in January 2026, the industry is looking at those missed games through a much darker lens. If a player is being paid tens of millions off the books to no-show for a sponsor, it creates a massive incentive for that player to also no-show on the court. According to reporting from late 2025, the NBA started noticing a pattern. Kawhi's rest days often aligned with periods of high-stakes corporate movements within the Aspiration bankruptcy filings. This created a circular economy of silence. Kawhi stayed quiet about his health, Ballmer stayed quiet about the payments, and the Clippers' cap sheet remained artificially low, while their actual payroll was effectively $200 million plus. The injury wasn't just physical, it was a financial necessity to keep the ruse alive. If Kawhi was on the court every night, the no-show nature of his side deals would be too obvious to ignore. By being the invisible superstar, he provided the perfect cover for an invisible salary. But why would a billionaire like Steve Ballmer risk a federal investigation for one player? The answer lies in the Intuit Dome era. Ballmer didn't just build an arena, he built a $2 billion monument to his own legacy in Inglewood. To make that monument profitable, he needed a superstar who was a Clippers lifer. According to industry insiders, the pressure to open the new arena with a championship-caliber roster led to desperate financial engineering. By using Aspiration as a middleman, Ballmer essentially created a private equity loophole that the NBA's current collective bargaining agreement wasn't equipped to handle. While other teams like the Warriors and Suns were gutting their rosters to avoid the tax, the Clippers were playing a different game entirely. They weren't just beating teams on the court, they were out-financing the entire league rule set. Ballmer, the richest owner in sports, wasn't just paying for talent, he was paying to buy the rules themselves. This leads us to the most volatile receipt in the pile, the information market. During the federal gambling investigation into Terry Rozier and Damon Jones in October 2025, prosecutors revealed that co-conspirators were selling privileged injury information to high-stakes bettors. While Kawhi wasn't charged in that specific ring, the investigation proved that insider information in the NBA is the most valuable currency on the market. If a team is running a secret payroll, the insider info regarding when a star is actually going to play becomes a gold mine. The reality is that Kawhi's health wasn't just a basketball concern, it was a stock market trigger. When you control the information, you control the wealth. And when your owner is the former CEO of Microsoft, you have the most sophisticated information network in sports history. The industry realized that a DNP rest wasn't just a box score entry, it was a signal to those in the know that a specific financial milestone had been reached. The strategy becomes even more fascinating when you look at the silence of the superstar. Kawhi Leonard has built a brand on being the quiet man. He doesn't do interviews, he doesn't have a loud social media presence, and he rarely defends himself against critics. In the attention economy, this was seen as a quirk, but in the shadow economy, it was a requirement. You can't run a multi-million-dollar salary circumvention scheme with a player who talks too much. Kawhi's silence was the armor that protected Ballmer's investment. According to internal Aspiration emails leaked during their bankruptcy, the company's own executives were confused by the deal, noting that Kawhi had zero alignment with their brand and performed little to no promotional work. He was a ghost on their marketing materials, but a very expensive one. He didn't even mention the company once in public, not once. For $28 million, that's not a bad rate of return for staying quiet. As we look at the fallout in early 2026, the NBA is facing a total credibility crisis. If the Clippers can pay a player tens of millions under the table, the salary cap is officially dead. The NBA has now hired the prestigious law firm Wachtell, Lipton, Rosen & Kotz to conduct a forensic audit of the Clippers' business ties. They're calling it the post-Aspiration era. Rival owners are furious, claiming that Ballmer's tech bro approach to ownership has turned the NBA into a pay-to-win league where the rules only apply to the poor. The expectation was that the new CBA would create parity. The reality is that it just pushed the spending underground. Owners like Jeannie Buss of the Lakers had already flagged this behavior back in 2019, alleging that Kawhi's camp was asking for illegal perks, but they were ignored. Now, the receipts have finally come due. The ultimate takeaway for the fans is that the load management era was never about medicine, it was about money and leverage. Kawhi Leonard didn't break his body, he broke the system. He proved that if you're valuable enough to a billionaire's real estate and tech ambitions, the rules of the NBA are just suggestions. He allowed the public to call him lazy and injured for years, all while he was reportedly building a massive equity portfolio in a company he barely visited. He and Ballmer didn't just play the game. They bought the equipment, hired the refs, and then kept the receipts in a safe that the NBA is only just now starting to crack. They used the no-show as a weapon to maintain a championship window that should have been closed years ago. It's a masterclass of corporate gaslighting, convincing the fans that a player is fragile when he is actually the most financially stable asset in the league. As we move toward the 2026 trade deadline, the Aspiration scandal is the shadow hanging over every major transaction. If you want to see how the ghost payroll is currently funding other creative contracts in the league, and why your favorite player might be injured because of a stock options vest date, you need to watch our Court Vision Shadow Money playlist. It is the only place where we track the receipts that the league is trying to delete. Kawhi Leonard isn't just a basketball player, he's the prototype for the equity era. In this new world, the points on the scoreboard matter less than the points on the cap table. And as long as Steve Ballmer has billions to spend and Kawhi Leonard has the discipline to stay silent, the Clippers will always be one step ahead of the law. The game isn't rigged on the court, it's rigged in the boardroom. But perhaps the most chilling part of this script is the realization that this might just be the tip of the iceberg. If Ballmer can do this with Aspiration, what is stopping him from doing it with Microsoft or Intuit or the dozens of global conglomerates he influences? we're seeing a shift where the NBA player is becoming a corporate associate. The jersey is just the uniform they wear to the office. The real work and the real money happens in the LLCs and the offshore accounts. The 2026 season will be remembered as the year the NBA lost control of its own economy. While Adam Silver tries to keep the lid on the boiling pot, the players have already moved on to the next venture. The secret $50 million isn't a scandal anymore. It's the new standard. If you're not circumventing, you're not competing. So the next time you see a healthy scratch or a star sitting out a back-to-back, don't look at the medical report. Look at the SEC filings. Look at the venture capital rounds. Because in 2026, the best way to win a ring isn't to play 82 games. It's to make sure the right people are getting paid in the dark. Aspiration was just the first domino to fall. The question is, who's next? If you're ready to follow the breadcrumbs into the next multi-million-dollar cover-up, hit that subscribe button. We are the only channel that follows the money where the league refuses to look. This is Court Vision, and the game is just getting started.